revealed. How a new Nanny's touching love transformed a millionaire CEO's twin daughters in 30 days. Jenna could hardly believe her luck. Barely 2 weeks into her new job as a nanny, a beautiful mansion loomed before her, shimmering in the afternoon sun. It was a place filled with luxury, every detail glossy and polished. As she unlocked the door and took her first step inside, a wave of both excitement and nervousness washed over her. She was here to transform the lives of twins, Mia and Ella, who had been trapped in the heavy shadows of their recent loss. From day one, Jenna noticed them. The twins were quiet and withdrawn, their laughter silenced by grief. They had lost their mother, an unimaginable weight for 2 little girls. Jenna felt that tension in the air and her heart ached for them. She brought her own warmth and humor, determined to break through their icy walls. "We're going to bake cookies today," she announced. The way their eyes brightened was worth the risk of adding chocolate smudges to her blouse. The kitchen turned into a whirlwind of flour and giggles as they poured and mixed, creating a mess that tasted like love. Jenna watched them lick their fingers, and she felt a tightness in her chest relax. The smell of those cookies, warm and sweet, somehow made their shared pain seem a little lighter. But as days turned into weeks, the outside pressures began to creep in. David, their father, was spiraling under the weight of his company's struggles. Between board meetings, he often forgot to check in with his daughters, leaving Jenna as the glue holding their little family together. The tabloids caught wind, and soon, Jenna felt the burn of scrutiny on David and the twins. "Neglectful CEO," screamed the headlines, adding fuel to the private fire already blazing in the Magnus residence. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when it seemed like everything was coming together, the storm hit. Rumors swirled that a wrong decision was becoming a scandal, and the narrow focus on family began to widen. The twins, accustomed to silence and somberness, started to lash out. They were caught between loyalty to a father who was visibly crumbling and the love they felt blossoming with Jenna. In a heated moment, Jenna confronted David about his failings as a father, calling out both their insecurities, raw and unfiltered. Tears filled her eyes as she shared how their shared love for the girls wasn't enough without a connection that was real. Each word fell between them like shattered glass, echoing the fear that their family, once so hopeful, could splinter into fragments. The struggle for redemption weighed heavily on them. Would love and the urgency of connection be enough to forge a new path through their pain? Jenna found herself reaching for the twins, and together, they stood on the precipice of choices that could either heal their hearts or tear them apart forever. Jenna felt the chill of uncertainty settle around her like a heavy blanket. She could see the tension etched on David's face as he stood at the edge of the living room, hands buried deep in his pockets, struggling to find the right words. The twins, sensing the mood change, retreated to opposite corners of the expansive space, turning their backs on their father as if trying to shield themselves from the storm brewing inside the house. "Jenna," David's voice was strained, almost pleading. "It's not just the press. It's everything. The company is on shaky ground, and I don't know how to fix it." His admission hung in the air, thick and suffocating. "Maybe the first step is to be there for them," Jenna replied softly, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "They need you now more than ever. More than any title or job. They miss their mom, David. They need to know you're still here." He averted his eyes, the weight of her words crashing down like a tidal wave. David had buried himself in work to escape the pain of loss, yet in doing so, had drifted further away from the 2 innocent souls who needed him most. Jenna felt a surge of frustration. It was a familiar fight, but this time, it felt bigger, like the stakes were infinitely higher. As she turned to Mia and Ella, she noticed the small glimmers of hope peeking from behind their thick walls. It had taken days, but they were starting to let Jenna in, slowly emerging from the shadows of grief. "Hey girls, how about a little adventure?" she said brightly, trying to lift the dark cloud hanging over them. Mia's head jerked up, curiosity evident on her face. "An adventure? Yes. We can make a treasure map and go on a quest to find hidden gems in the backyard. What do you think?" Jenna watched as Ella's eyes widened, a smirk playing on her lips. There was a slight nod from Mia, a flicker of animated joy for the first time in what felt like forever. "Can we do it now?" Ella asked. An eagerness burst into the room that felt almost electric. "Absolutely." A spark ignited in Jenna, a merging of hope and determination. If they could ignite this spirit of adventure together, maybe it could bridge the gap between the girls and David. Maybe it could show him the kind of father he could be, not just a CEO, but a dad with laughter and memories to share. As they gathered supplies and headed outside, the sun seemed to break through the clouds, illuminating their path. Mia and Ella ran ahead, weaving around the manicured bushes as Jenna called out, "You're going to have to be brave treasure hunters. Who knows what you might find?" David stood on the porch watching the trio. It was as if a weight had been lifted just a little. Jenna caught his gaze and offered a small, encouraging smile. Perhaps if he saw the joy in the girls' eyes, he could understand that they were as much a part of his home as his boardroom. But just as the laughter began to fill the air once again, Jenna received a text. The name lit up the screen, pulling her from the moment. It was from the family lawyer, urgent and demanding. As she read the message, her stomach dropped. "Oh no," she murmured, her heart racing. There's still a storm brewing, and it looked like it was about to break. How could they possibly navigate their way through grief, media scrutiny, and now potential legal troubles? The adventure they started that day could lead not just to treasures buried in the yard, but to choices that would change everything and threaten to tear their newfound bond apart. The stakes had grown higher, and Jenna realized she had only just begun to fight for the family she'd grown to care for deeply. What would happen when the truth they were all avoiding finally came crashing down? Jenna's heart raced as she scrolled through the message, the words twisted into an urgent knot in her stomach. "We need to discuss your next steps regarding the estate and potential media implications," it read. The breath caught in her throat. She didn't think it would come to this, but hurdles were piling up faster than she could navigate them. "Mia, Ella," she called, her voice strained. The girls paused, their laughter lost in a frozen moment, and turned back to her. Their eyes sparkled with youthful innocence, still radiant from the treasure hunt idea. But even that joy felt fragile now, the perfect bubble on the verge of bursting. "Can we talk for a second?" Jenna approached them, her mind racing. How could she protect them from this world of adult complications? The twins frowned, sensing something was off. "Can't it wait?" Ella asked softly. Even her eagerness was dampening. Jenna shook her head, her resolve hardening. "It's important." She led them a few steps away, thankful for the wide expanse of the yard. The sun was shining, and the air was fragrant with summer blooms. But even the beautiful outdoors felt dulled by the weight in her chest. "Girls, I just got a text from our lawyer," she began. "It's about your mom's everything." Ella's brow furrowed. "Are we in trouble?" No, Jenna rushed to say, kneeling down to their eye level. "You're not in trouble. But there are some choices we might have to make, and it can get a little complicated." Mia's lips pressed together tightly. Jenna could see the wheels turning in her mind. She wished she could shield them from all adult burdens, the stress, the decision-making, the grief, but she also knew it would be worse to hide the facts. "I just want to know, are we going to lose Dad?" Mia whispered, her voice barely a breath. Jenna felt a fresh wave of emotion swelling up. She hadn't anticipated such rawness in that question. "No, sweetie, no one can take your dad away. But right now he's just struggling. We all are." Ella caught a glance at Mia, who seemed to be searching for answers. "Can we help him?" "Of course we can." Jenna felt a flicker of hope. "But it will take all of us sticking together. Like a team." The twins nodded, their expressions shifting from uncertainty to determination, crafting a small bond inside the turmoil. Just as the moment of unity formed, David stepped outside, an awkward tension surrounding him. The cheerful atmosphere from moments before dimmed, and the shadows of legal troubles loomed in sight. "Hey, what is going on?" he asked, scanning the scene before him. "We were just talking about your work, Dad," Mia said, clearly choosing her words carefully. His eyes flicked to Jenna, searching for understanding. "I know things are tough, but it'll get better, I promise." A hint of vulnerability flashed across his face, and Jenna's heart broke a little more for him. Jenna stood up, hopeful that her thoughtfulness would make a difference. "Together we'll fix this mess. We can turn things around, starting with this treasure hunt." At that, the warmth returned to the twins' faces, and they bounced into action. David watched, hesitating, as Jenna and the girls began to draw their treasure map on the grass. But just as laughter bubbled between them once more, David received a call. His face fell. Jenna felt dread cascading through her. She exchanged a worried glance with the twins. They were so close to sharing joy, yet reality loomed just beyond their makeshift treasure island. As he walked away to talk, Jenna felt the familiar chill of uncertainty creeping back. She stood there, questioning if she could truly hold this fractured family together. In that moment of stillness, she knew she couldn't wait for trouble to roll in anymore. She had to uncover the roots of the issues, face the truth, and prepare the girls for what might come. Determined to shield them from the imminent storm, she turned to the twins. "If we're going to go on this adventure, we need to be brave. Are we ready for a real treasure hunt?" Mia's eyes glinted with excitement, and Ella nodded eagerly. In Jenna's heart, a fire ignited. They would unearth not just physical treasures but the courage, love, and connections that could weather any tempest. How strong their bond could be would depend on the next uncovering a family secret that could change everything. Could Jenna strengthen their foundations before it all came crashing down? The sun hung low in the sky, casting golden rays across the yard, but Jenna felt no warmth from it. She watched David as he paced on the phone, his tone grave. The twins' laughter, now muffled, felt like a distant echo. They were supposed to be hunting for treasures, but here they were, teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Mia shifted uncomfortably beside Jenna. "Do you think he's okay?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Ella glanced between her sister and Jenna, her little brows knitted together in concern. Jenna swallowed back the worry that clawed at her throat. "I think he's just trying to figure things out, honey." She forced a smile, wishing she could ease their anxiety with a simple explanation. But deep down, Jenna knew the real battle was just beginning. "Let us finish our treasure map, shall we?" Jenna suggested, diverting their attention. "What do we want to find first? The biggest treasure or the smallest?" "The biggest," they exclaimed in unison, their eyes lighting up again, and Jenna breathed a sigh of relief. She joined them on the grass, her heart swelling with a mix of pride and sadness. They were so innocent, blissfully unaware of the clock ticking down on their family's stability. As they sketched the map, Jenna stole glances at David. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident on his face. She wished he could feel the joy radiating from the twins, but he was buried under so much pressure, a weight Jenna couldn't lift, no matter how much she wanted to share the load. "Why don't we make a treasure chest?" Mia suggested, pulling Jenna back to the moment. "Then we can put all our finds inside it." "That's a wonderful idea," Jenna replied, energizing herself with the girls' enthusiasm. "Let us find some cool stuff to put in it. It'll be a keepsake for our adventure." They gathered old shoeboxes, markers, and glitter, anything they could find that could serve as their treasure chest. Laughter bubbled between them, lifting the heaviness that had settled moments before. Just as they were decorating their makeshift chest, David walked over, his phone call ending. "Hey, sorry about that. You girls having fun?" His voice sounded slightly more relaxed, a welcome change. "Yeah, Dad, we're finding treasures," Ella exclaimed, holding up a shiny rock adorned with glitter. "That's amazing. I can't wait to see what treasures you uncover." His smile was a filtered version of the warmth they once shared, but Jenna found herself encouraged by it, hoping it would grow genuine as the day went on. "Come help us decorate our treasure chest," Mia said, her determination returning. David crouched down, carefully wrapping a ribbon around the box. Yet, In the back of Jenna's mind, unease lingered. Can you keep it together for all of us? For the girls? She wanted to ask him. Instead, she focused on the joy before her. That's what mattered now. But as they worked, a shadow crossed David's face. He glanced over at the house, and Jenna followed his gaze. A dark figure lingered at the edge of their yard. Helena, their lawyer. Jenna's heart sank. The kids noticed too, their playful chatter stalling. What's that lady doing here? Ella asked, uncertainty replacing her earlier excitement. I'm not sure, Jenna murmured, her stomach twisting into knots. Helena's presence felt like a storm on the horizon, threatening to disrupt the fragile peace they'd just woven back together. David stood abruptly, his eyes sharpening. Let me handle this, okay? Girls, stay here, he said, stepping away. Jenna felt a lump in her throat. She wanted to call David back, to protect their moment of connection. But instead, she and the girls were left holding the weight of the unspoken. Mia reached for Jenna's hand, her small fingers trembling slightly. Do you think everything will be okay? I hope so, sweetheart, Jenna whispered, feeling the gravity of their circumstances. But some things we have to face together. As they watched David approach Helena, Jenna's heart raced again. This time with the knowledge that the treasure hunt was about to lead them to something much deeper and more treacherous than just glitter and shoeboxes. Would they be ready to unearth the truth lurking beneath the surface? Or would the treasures they sought turn into burdens they had to bear? Jenna's eyes remained fixed on David and Helena, concern tightening around her heart. The atmosphere shifted, thick with tension as their lawyer gestured sharply, urgency in her movements. David's face, usually so composed, was an open book of unspoken fears. The laughter from the twins faded, replaced with the echo of unasked questions. Mom? Ella tugged at Jenna's sleeve, her voice barely above a whisper. What's wrong? Nothing, sweetheart. Just adult stuff, Jenna replied, kneeling down to meet Ella's frightened gaze. Remember that treasure map we were making? Why don't we finish it? We'll go on our own adventure, just like explorers. Ella forced a grin, but it didn't reach her eyes. Mia remained silent, watching her dad with an intensity that wasn't typical for her bubbly self. Jenna could feel the weight settle over them, like a quiet storm waiting to break as David's words drifted across the yard. Jenna strained to hear snippets. Helena was explaining something about family matters and legal obligations. Each term felt like stones thrown into a river, emotions rippling outward, disturbing the peace. David nodded, his expressions shifting from resistance to a reluctant acceptance, each nod tearing at Jenna's insides. Let us find that biggest treasure, Jenna urged again, this time quieter, trying to coax the girls back into their game. She picked up a marker and drew a bright X on the map, but her heart wasn't in it. Her hands shook slightly as she tried to regain control. Mia finally broke, her small voice cutting through Jenna's forced cheer. What if we lose everything? What if we can't stay together? Her eyes filled with doubt. Jenna felt a pang of anguish mirrored on her own face. How could she promise them security when every passing second felt more unstable? We're a family and families stick together. No matter what, she said, wishing she could make that truth as solid as the ground beneath them. What's the treasure then? Mia pressed, tears brimming in her eyes. Jenna took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the twins' laughter wash over her memories, a bond forged through joy, heartache, and resilience. The treasure is love. It's us, what we have together. Nothing can take that away. Okay? Mia nodded hesitantly, but Ella was still distracted, her gaze straying back to her father and Helena. David's voice rose suddenly, sharp and edged. I don't want to hear this. We've tried everything. We can't just give up. Jenna's heart raced. The desperation in his tone echoed through her, stirring the rocks in her stomach. What was happening behind those words? Mom? Ella asked again, voice trembling. Jenna wrapped her arms around the twins, pulling them close. We have to trust your dad. He's fighting for us. She couldn't shake the chill creeping up her spine, even as she whispered these reassuring words. Minutes stretched like hours. Jenna's eyes darted between David and Helena, every gesture of the lawyer feeling like a ticking clock, counting down something ominous. David stepped back, his hands on his hips, a man caught between duty and despair. "There's more to this, isn't there?" Jenna whispered to herself, but the truth sat heavy on her tongue. Was David really strong enough to face whatever Helena had brought to the table? A gust of wind rustled the leaves above them, momentarily distracting the girls. Jenna turned her head, and for just a fleeting second, she saw a glimmer of something darker in Helena's eyes. "Mom, can we find more treasures?" Mia broke through the silence, a plea clutched in her tiny voice. "Of course, my love. Let us keep searching." But as she spoke, Jenna glanced at David again. His face betrayed something neither she nor the girls dared to acknowledge. What if their quest for treasure unearthed more than just memories? What if it revealed truths they weren't prepared for? Helena's presence loomed large, like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. Jenna knew the moment was coming when they had to confront whatever lay ahead. "Will we be okay?" Ella asked, looking up at her with wide, innocent eyes. Jenna swallowed hard. "We will be, I promise." But as her own voice faltered, the question lingered in the air, heavy with uncertainty. How could she promise what she didn't yet know? Would this day become a dividing line in their lives? Or would their family stand united against whatever challenges awaited them? Jenna closed her eyes for a brief moment, gathering her strength. The world around her felt distorted, as though she were peering through a foggy window. The laughter of the twins was now a distant memory, overshadowed by the impending reality that loomed before them. "Mom?" Ella's soft voice pierced through, frail like a butterfly. "Can we help Dad?" The question hit Jenna like a punch. She wanted to shy away from the graver tones of adulthood, but the girl's eyes were starved for clarity, for assurance. "Helping is a good idea, baby," she replied, her own uncertainty creeping back into her voice. "But let us just give him a little time. Okay?" The moments ticked by, and each gasp of silence felt heavier than the last. David's voice rose again, this time cracking as if each word threatened to crumble under its own weight. "Helena, I'm not going to just back down. My family is everything." The fierceness of his commitment made Jenna's heart flutter with a mix of pride and dread. If only he could wield that fire against the battles they faced together, instead of against those who wield power over their lives. "Can we draw a treasure chest?" Mia suggested, trying to lighten the mood despite the heavy air. With crayons and paper, they could create a world of endless possibilities, even if their reality was teetering. "Sure, sweetheart," Jenna said, her voice steadier now. "Let us imagine what's inside. Gold coins? Jewels? Rainbows?" Ella shouted suddenly, her eyes wide with determination. "Yes, rainbows and maybe candy." Mia giggled, carrying the hope in her heart as she began to sketch as Jenna watched them. She felt a flicker of warmth amidst the freezing tension. Their innocence was a reminder that there was still light to find, if only they could hold on to it. The heaviness in the air began to shift as David approached Helena again. A shadow crossed his face, and her eyes narrowed, calculating. Jenna's instincts screamed that they were at a critical juncture. Whatever had brought them to this point, it was going to unravel soon. "Helena, I need you to stop playing games with me," David said, his voice a blend of hesitation and resolve. Jenna stiffened, every fiber of her being focused on that exchange. What game? What had they been dragged into? Mia looked up, her face a canvas of confusion. "Are games bad, Mom?" "The wrong kind of games can be, my love," Jenna said softly, brushing her fingers through Mia's hair, feeling the serenity of the moment falter. The twins fell back into drawing as Jenna shifted her focus back on David. He was no longer standing firmly. His posture was uncomfortable, his expression uncertain. "Helena, if this is about the house again, it's not just about the house." Helena snapped, her voice cutting through the air like shattered glass. "This has everything to do with the future. You need to understand that." Jenna felt her heart plummet. A future? What future did they mean? Was it one they would all share, or was it something that pulled them apart? the realization struck like a thunderbolt. The reason for their conflict lay not merely in assets, but in values and dreams that had seemingly diverged. "Mom?" Ella's small voice broke through the noise again. "What's going to happen?" Jenna knelt down, feeling her pulse quicken. "I don't know yet, sweet pea, but whatever it is, we'll face it together." She tightened her grip, hoping her words alone could shield them. "I wish I was brave like Daddy," Mia whispered, her crayon still in hand, her brow furrowed with worry. Jenna took a breath, every instinct pushing her to protect these girls, to shield them from the storm brewing outside. But there was a flicker of resolve in her as well. Bravery doesn't mean being unafraid. It means showing up anyway, just like he is now. David's stance softened slightly, glancing their way. A moment they all recognized it. Love was the anchor, but the waves they faced were unforgiving. Would they all be sucked into the tide, or could they chart their way out together? And as they shared this unspoken bond, Jenna felt an undeniable truth settle in her heart. Whatever lay ahead, they had to prepare for the unexpected. But then, just as she dared to hope, the lawyer spoke again, and everyone turned. "There's another option on the table." Jenna's breath hitched. What did that mean for their family? And would it heal the chasms growing wider in their lives? Or would it drive deeper wedges between them? As uncertainty hung in the air, Jenna knew that they were about to learn their fate. The atmosphere crackled with tension as Jenna held her breath, waiting for what the lawyer would say next. Each word felt like a pebble rolling down a hill, gaining speed as it went. "The option involves a financial settlement," he began, his voice steady but the weight of it looming like dark clouds. "It would allow you all to keep the house, but there are conditions." Jenna's heart raced. Conditions? That was a key word laden with implications. She glanced at David, searching for any glimpse of reassurance in his eyes. Instead, she found a storm brewing. His jaw was clenched, fingers twitching at his side. "What kind of conditions?" he asked, his voice lower, laced with an urgency that set Jenna's nerves on edge. The lawyer shifted his papers, trying to find the right phrasing. "Essentially, it would require you to come to an agreement on co-parenting responsibilities and finances moving forward, keeping in mind the best interests of the children." Ella and Mia were still drawing, their innocent creations oblivious to the chaos. Jenna stole a glance at them. "Best interests of the children," she whispered to herself, the phrase feeling heavy like an anchor. David rubbed the bridge of his nose, frustration evident. "You're suggesting that we get to keep the house but on your terms? Under your rules?" "Not my rules," the lawyer replied calmly. "The court's rules. Your personal disagreements aside, this arrangement is meant to ensure stability for the girls." Jenna felt her heart flutter between hope and despair. Stability. The word felt comforting yet elusive. Could this be a way out, or simply another binding shackle? "What about our voices?" she asked, finding her courage. "Are we to simply accept what's laid out before us?" "Not at all," he replied, meeting her gaze. "You can negotiate, but understand the longer this drags on, the more costly it becomes." David turned to Jenna, his expression softening for a moment. "What do you think?" Jenna's heart swelled and sank at the same time. As the twins laughed in the background, pretending to dive into an ocean of colors, her instincts screamed to protect them. They had been through enough. "Stability is essential, yes," she finally said, her voice steady though her hands shook slightly at her sides. "But we have to make sure that it doesn't come at the cost of our family's love and unity." "What other options do we have?" David challenged, turning back to the lawyer, his tone defiant. The lawyer hesitated again. "There's always the chance of litigation. However, a court battle will rarely work in your favor." Jenna's gut twisted. She had seen the effects of prolonged disputes. The jaded, tired faces of friends caught up in conflicts over everything from money to custody, and how it had robbed them of joy. "Daddy, are we going to be okay?" Mia asked, innocent eyes wide, as she put down her crayons. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to her. Jenna knelt beside the twins, sensing their need for assurance. "Whatever happens, we will face it together," she said, brushing a stray hair from Mia's face. "We're a team." Like superheroes, Ella chirped, the spark of belief igniting her smile. Yes, exactly like superheroes, Jenna exclaimed, feeling her own hope flicker to life anew. But we are not fighting against anyone, David said tightly, still looking at the lawyer. We're fighting for what we love, and that matters. Helena folded her arms, narrowing her eyes. That's a nice sentiment, but we all know the realities of life and love. Emotions win this battle. David's glare shifted to Helena, and Jenna felt the tension pulse again. Could they navigate this harsh reality without losing themselves and their children in the process? The heaviness of uncertainty began to seep back in. Jenna squeezed the twins' shoulders, feeling the warmth of their small bodies grounding her. What if we pick and choose the conditions? She proposed, surprising herself with the optimism. What if we put aside our differences? David studied her, the weight of her words turning over in his mind. Could hope tether their fraying bonds? Is that something we can attempt? David asked finally, an ember of realization flickering in his voice. The lawyer nodded. It's unusual, but collaboration is always an option. Jenna felt her pulse quicken. Then let us collaborate. Let us give it a shot. Why don't we take a break and discuss privately? The lawyer suggested, gesturing toward the door. Jenna watched as they filed out, leaving her with the twins. Anxiety washed over her as the door clicked shut. Would they be able to harness their hearts into something tangible this time? The prospect of mending felt nearly tangible, yet impossibly delicate. As she looked at her girls, Jenna knew they were standing on the edge of something monumental, an opportunity that could either heal or deepen their wounds. And then she heard knocking. The door cracked open slightly. Can we come back in? We have ideas. What ideas? Jenna's heart raced again, brimming with apprehension and hope. Would these ideas pull them closer together or widen the gap? The door opened wider, and Ella and Mia stepped in, their small frames bursting with enthusiasm. Ella tugged at her sister's sleeve, a mixture of wide-eyed wonder and determination on her young face. We have lots of ideas, Mommy. We can help. Jenna's heart felt a flutter. How could such innocent little girls hold so much power in a moment like this? The twins brightened the room, reigniting a flicker of hope. What ideas do you have? The house should have a garden where we can play. We'll help water the flowers, and there can be a big swing, Ella announced, bouncing on her toes. Yeah. Mia chimed in, her eyes sparkling. And we could paint the fence with rainbows. Then we'll be happy here, and everyone will smile. Jenna exchanged glances with David, a surge of warmth spreading between them. It was almost as if the twins, in their unrestricted joy, could cut through the tension overwhelming their adult lives. A garden and a swing, those sound delightful. But what if we added a rule? Jenna suggested, feeling a surge of boldness. What if we made it a rule that we all have to sit together for dinner every night? The twins nodded in unison, their little faces lighting up as if Jenna had just suggested a trip to a candy store. Yes, family dinners. We can tell stories, Mia declared. Stories are the best. Ella agreed, her enthusiasm infectious. Jenna's mind spun. They could choose to focus on what truly mattered, their family. What if we all promised to take time to listen to each other, even when things are hard? She lowered herself to their level, hoping to draw them in closer. David chuckled softly. Even superheroes have to listen, right? Yes. The girls chimed harmoniously, unabashed joy echoing in the tiny room. Jenna felt renewed strength race through her veins. Then let us write it down. She grabbed a nearby notepad and a pen, her heart swelling as Ella and Mia bounced with excitement. As she scribbled, she caught a glimpse of David watching the twins, a reluctant smile creeping onto his face. This was more than just a house or a settlement. It was their family rebuilding itself, brick by brick, laughter by laughter. Here are the rules, Jenna said, turning to them. 1. We have a garden. 2. We have family dinners. 3. We will listen and share together. And 4. We will always find something to be thankful for. Mia raised her hand, twisting a lock of hair around her finger. I think we should add we won tea fight. That's a great addition. Jenna smiled, feeling the warmth in her chest bloom. At that moment, Jenna realized the power of simple intentions and the spark her daughters had brought into this heavy atmosphere. They weren't just rules. They were the bedrock of a new beginning. David took a step closer, his gaze shifting from the girls to Jenna, brightened by the ideas swirling in the air. This could actually work. Maybe we can build our own foundation. Just then, there was a gentle knock on the door again. It swung open, revealing the lawyer with a look of genuine intrigue. "I couldn't help but overhear. It seems you've found a path forward." Jenna felt her heart race, confidence surging through her. "We're ready to talk about our conditions, but we want it to reflect us, our family, and the love we want to keep." The lawyer smiled, a hint of respect in his demeanor. "I'm glad to hear it. It's not often I see a family come together like this. Perhaps we can draft something that resonates with all of us." Hope burst wide open in Jenna's chest. But before she could respond, David squeezed her hand. "Let us take a step forward together. But we need to remember that this is only the beginning." Jenna nodded, breathing in the moment, the laughter of her girls weaving around them like a warm blanket. But just as excitement swelled, an unsettling thought crept in. Would this newfound hope withstand the challenges that lay ahead? As they sat down, Jenna laid her thoughts bare, layering her vision of unity on the table. But an echo from the past lurked, reminding her of the cracks that formed in their bond. What if the challenges were larger than she anticipated? The room was quiet as they made plans. Jenna's heart thrummed, a mix of anxiety and excitement. This was their chance. How far could they go with this fragile thread of hope? And just as they began brainstorming again, the door creaked open one last time, the sound sending chills down her spine. Was it a sign of something new, or were they about to face another test of their resolve? The door swung open, revealing a tall figure that seemed to fill the frame with an energy that contrasted sharply with the heavy air in the room. It was Nora, the new nanny, her bright smile breaking through the tension. Jenna instinctively felt a wave of relief, but also a hint of uncertainty. Who was this woman that had suddenly stepped into their lives? "Hello, everyone," Nora chirped, her voice warm and inviting. She carried a vibrant bouquet of flowers, a stark contrast to the muted tones of their living room. "I thought these might brighten up the place." Ella and Mia's eyes sparkled with delight. They rushed to her side, eager to explore the colorful blooms. Jenna noticed how the girls, in their innocent enthusiasm, seemed to draw energy from this newcomer in a way that reassured her. David, on the other hand, furrowed his brow, assessing this new addition with a mix of curiosity and caution. "Hi, Nora," he said, attempting to mask his skepticism. "We're just in the middle of discussing some family ground rules." Nora nodded, an understanding glint in her eyes. "Family rules? That sounds wonderful. I believe strong families are built on love and trust." She set the flowers down on the table and turned to the girls, who were already lost in the fragrant petals. "What are your names?" "I'm Ella," the older twin shouted. "And I'm Mia," the younger one proclaimed, holding up a particularly vibrant flower. "Well, Ella and Mia, do you think your mommy and daddy will let me help with the garden?" Nora asked, her tone playful. "Can you plant the rainbow flowers?" Mia questioned, her excitement palpable. Nora chuckled. "Absolutely. We'll paint the fence too. I have a whole box of colors waiting for us." Jenna felt her heart soften. Perhaps this was a sign. Maybe this woman could bring something positive into their lives after all. The lawyer cleared his throat, drawing attention back to the task at hand. "While your ideas sound lovely, we should go through your conditions carefully." The atmosphere shifted again. Jenna could sense the weight of the lawyer's presence, the seriousness of the conversation starting to settle over them. Yet, despite the looming discussions, Ella and Mia remained bright lights, laughing and imagining their color-filled future with Nora. "Jenna," Nora spoke softly, resting a reassuring hand on her arm. "It's important to embrace those moments of joy, even when things feel heavy. Remember, children live in the now. They understand love and they thrive in it." Jenna met Nora's gaze and saw an understanding that tethered them together in this moment. "You're right," she said, her voice cracking slightly. As they returned to their discussions, Jenna felt a swelling courage inside her. Maybe Nora would be an anchor, helping to navigate these turbulent waters. Still, as they began to outline their conditions for the lawyer, Jenna kept glancing back at David, who seemed lost in thought. "What's wrong?" she whispered to him, concern etched on her face. His eyes held shadows. "I just don't want you to get your hopes too high. We have a long way to go, and new faces can complicate things." Jenna felt a chill. She understood the fragility of their situation. What if she could help us? What if she is a part of what we need? Before David could respond, the twins interrupted, their laughter spilling across the room like sunlight breaking through clouds. The buoyancy of their joy filled the space, momentarily lightening the heaviness of adult worries. But as laughter mingled with nervous anticipation, Jenna's thoughts turned darker, an anxious whisper echoing in her mind. Was it possible that the arrival of a new person could fracture the delicate balancing act they were attempting? Would Nora be a blessing or a burden? As the conversation continued, Jenna realized the stakes were higher than she had first believed. She needed to navigate not just family bonds but also the introduction of new relationships and the unseen challenges that might flow from them. Torn between hope and apprehension, she couldn't shake off the feeling that soon enough, they would all face a choice: accept change or resist it. With a determined heart, she went back to the discussion at hand. But as the door swung shut behind a fading echo of laughter, Jenna couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest tests were yet to come. How would their fragile hope survive the storms lying just beyond the horizon? As the days turned into weeks, something remarkable began to unfold in the Magnus household. Jenna, David, and the twins had forged an unlikely bond amidst the chaos. They didn't just survive the media scrutiny or mounting legal pressures. They thrived. Jenna and David worked together to form a co-parenting plan that embraced both love and commitment, infusing it with the heart of family dinners and garden projects. They laughed at the absurdity of treating flower beds like board meetings, each petal a promise to move forward together. Meanwhile, Mia and Ella transformed into little warriors of joy, coaxing laughter from the sun itself with their wild imaginations and treasure-hunting expeditions. They spent hours mapping out their kingdom in the yard, where magical creatures roamed and laughter never stopped. Then, on a warm Saturday afternoon, the moment of truth arrived. They gathered around the garden, an emerald oasis in the heart of the mansion, freshly bloomed flowers tantalizing the senses. The laughter of angels filled the air, and for the first time in forever, it felt like home. With the lawyer present, David, Jenna, and the twins stood united, each heart twined together with strength and resilience. David cleared his throat, scanning the faces surrounding him. "We're not just here to hash out rules anymore. We're here to celebrate what we truly treasure: our family. We want to encapsulate this spirit of love in the agreement we draw up today." Ella and Mia clutched each other's hands, eyes shining with excitement. "Can we be part of it?" Ella asked, her voice light yet firm. "Absolutely." Jenna smiled, kneeling to match their eager expressions. "What we discussed before about our ideas. We want to include that. It's not just adults making decisions here. This is your home too." Mia squeaked, "So we get to help decide our own rules?" "Yes," David said, a spark igniting within him. "Because those rules won't just be guidelines. They will be wishes for our future." The lawyer nodded, clearly impressed as the twins jumped in with their ideas: gardens filled with rainbows, swings that soared to the skies, and dinners rich with stories that wove them tightly together as the day unfolded. A wave of joy washed over them, lifting the burdens they had carried for so long. It was as if the sun shone brighter, the flowers bloomed more vibrantly, and even the watchful winds whistled a tune of approval. But just as it felt like the tide had finally turned, an unexpected cloud shadowed the joyous atmosphere. The door swung open, revealing Helena, stern and businesslike, disrupting the harmony they'd woven. Jenna's stomach knotted, her heart racing at the sight of the last person she wanted to deal with. "David," Helena began, her tone icy, "we need to discuss the terms. The media isn't letting go, and we have critical next steps." Mia and Ella instinctively huddled closer to Jenna. The warmth of their little bodies steadied her resolve. "Maybe now is not the time, Helena," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. We're really just focusing on our family and rebuilding. Helena waved her off. If you don't get this under control, there won't be anything to rebuild. The reality is that your family dynamics are being scrutinized like never before, and the implications are serious. We're not just a company, David fired back, his voice finding strength. We're a family. I will fight for them and we will put our home first. The tension crackled like electricity. Jenna's heart soared at the warmth in David's tone, but Helena pressed on, seemingly unperturbed. You think the love in this yard will change courtroom dynamics? This is not a fairy tale. But just as Jenna felt fear prickle at the edges of her heart, Ella spoke up, her small voice courageous. But we're still family. Families love each other. Love is the real treasure. The power of those words hung in the air like magic. Jenna knelt beside the twins, placing a hand on each of their shoulders. See? Love can guide us through this even in tough times. David nodded thoughtfully. Exactly. We'll negotiate. Not just for our welfare but for the emotional security of our girls. That is non-negotiable. Helena's eyes narrowed, but for the first time, she hesitated, almost puzzled by the cohesive strength radiating from the family before her. Fine, she said reluctantly. Let us talk terms. They began setting terms together, not simply about legal obligations, but about the positivity they aimed to foster. They agreed upon a gardening project budget that reinforced family collaboration and a commitment to family dinners where they could assess their growth both in relationships and flowers. As the meeting wound down, heading toward solutions rather than disputes, Jenna felt a comforting warmth blossom in her heart. Maybe love had indeed transformed them. Maybe this family had found its footing amidst the storm. Outside, the garden thrived, a constant reminder of their resolve. Jenna looked at David, who now carried a glimmer of belief he was stepping into both his roles, as CEO and father, entwining them beautifully as the sun dipped below the horizon. Casting a golden hue, Jenna took the twins' hands and pointed at the vibrant flowers swaying in the gentle wind. Look at that. Each flower grew because it was loved, nurtured, and protected just like us. In that moment, everything clicked into place. Amid struggles, uncertainty, and growth, they would rise, united. And as they stood together, hands intertwined, a new future beckoned, radiant in its possibilities. Now was the time for action. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. It's your voice that matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to share. Don't wait not even one more second. True fans know the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.